we've heard a lot about the various pressures that are combining to fuel this cost of living crisis, and I think they've been very well made. We've heard about the rising cost of heating homes. I would very much like to associate myself with the comment made by the Honourable Member, the Right Honourable Member for Tiverton and Honiton, I think, who just drew attention to the fact that for many rural areas, the cost of heating your home has been exacerbated further by the fact that many premises will be off-grid, and the price of heating oil and liquid gas in particular. I've received accounts from constituents who have seen the costs of heating treble just in a few months since September last year. So it's a real pressing issue that is hitting rural areas. And another driving force for the crisis in rural areas has been the rising cost of fuel at the pump. Now, unfortunately, Wales has the highest car dependency in the UK, with nearly 80% of commutes done by private car use. And now nearly half of our businesses are actually located in rural areas. Areas where, again, quite sadly, you're very lucky if you can receive multiple bus services a day. I, of course, support wholeheartedly the rapid decarbonisation of our transport system to meet our net zero commitments. However, at this very point in time, many of my communities are devoid of public transport infrastructure that would make that a reality. Sadly, they are dependent for essential journeys, whether that is to go to work, whether it is to go shopping, on private car use. And with the RAC calculating that on current rates, the Treasury will take an additional £2.9 billion from fuel prices, my party is calling on the Chancellor to implement two measures with urgency. First, reform of the Rural Fuel Duty Relief Scheme to extend it to more rural areas in Wales, and improving its eligibility criteria to account for local transport provision. Doing so would bring immediate relief at the pump for rural areas and would target areas with below UK average investment in public transport infrastructure, hopefully incentivising the longer-term solution that is represented by better public transport links. I'd also urge the Chancellor to support the Road Haulage Association's call for an essential user category to be developed to reduce petrol prices for key services, whether that is in the logistics and essential professions, with high mileage, like carers. Indeed, I've been told by constituents of mine, carers who would typically travel upwards of 50 miles a day, being recompensed with only 30 pence per mile. At current fuel prices, I'm sure Mr Deputy Speaker would agree with me, that is simply unsustainable. I'd also just draw attention to the fact that of the impact of the rise in the national insurance contributions will have, yes, on families, the point has been very well made this evening, but also on businesses. Effectively, it is a tax on employment, and that's why Plaid Cymru supports a proposal to increase the employment allowance from £4,000 to £5,000 a year, as advocated by the Federation of Small Businesses. An expanded relief, which allows eligible employers to reduce their national insurance liabilities, would achieve several key objectives. First, it would make widespread and welcome pay rises more financially sustainable for businesses. Second, it would reduce the risk of higher costs being passed on as higher prices to consumers. And thirdly, would help protect businesses' ability to invest, boosting our economy's productivity and economic growth at such a crucial time. In sum, Mr Deputy Speaker, with some time to spare, I would urge the Chancellor to make use of the slightly improved picture when it comes to public finances, to take the opportunity next week to introduce measures to help families but also businesses, and to avoid this energy crisis turning into a shock that stalls the economy. Yeah.